Outcasted OC. Viewer discretion is advised. Incoming transmission in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi everybody, it is Courtney here from the Outcasted OC Podcast. I am here to do a Raw review. So I will be reviewing the episode of Raw, which also had night 2 of the WWE draft. In this review, I'm also going to be talking about Raw talk. Now, obviously, as you know, all the draft picks won't have been revealed on Smackdown or Raw. They end up showing some more of the draft picks on the Smackdown Lowdown and obviously on Raw talk. So I've also watched Raw talk, got some of the draft picks here, so I will talk to you about them at the very end, but I'm quickly just going to recap what happened on Raw. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, this episode of Raw really dragged on for me, and I think it's because I was just really looking forward to the draft side of things, that I kind of was getting quite antsy about the show kind of progressing very slowly. But anyway, let's get on with it. First round of the WWE draft, Raw picked Rhea Ripley, which, I mean, I don't understand why they're doing this. I don't get why they can't just keep, I don't know. It just, for me, it doesn't make sense as to why the champions are switching brands. Like, for me personally, I feel as though Rhea should stay on SmackDown because she was crowned the SmackDown Women's Champion at WrestleMania. So I don't understand why she's being moved over to Raw all of a sudden. Same goes with Bianca Belair. She's the Raw Women's Champion. Why is she being moved over to SmackDown? Doesn't really make much sense to me. But then yet again, I'm not Triple H, so I can't make these decisions. Then we had Austin Theory moving over to SmackDown with the United States title. Now, I kind of had a feeling this would happen, considering that the Intercontinental Championship is being moved back to Raw, so I'm on board with this change. Then Raw selected Seth Rollins, so Seth Rollins is staying on Raw. I think this is a great idea, especially with the introduction of the new inaugural World Heavyweight title. I think it's a great idea to crown Seth as the inaugural champion, keep him on Raw. That's where the new title is. And then Charlotte Flair was also drafted to SmackDown as well too. I had a feeling she was going to kind of stay there. I'm just kind of hoping they keep her out of the title picture for a little bit. Let some new talent come and have at least one turn at the title. So anyway, obviously Triple H was doing the announcements for the first round of the draft. Then Paul Heyman comes out and Triple H shows Paul Heyman the title. They have a wee look at it. Paul Heyman proceeds to come to the ring. So he said he's going to address business items for the entire of the WWE Universe on behalf of the Tribal Chief. He goes ahead and he says at the draft, Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman and Solo Sikoa have all been drafted to SmackDown, leaving tonight to determine the fate of the Usos, who obviously did not win their titles back on SmackDown last week. He said that he'll address the Usos privately tonight, but the Usos will have to address their problems at Backlash this Saturday. And obviously they'll have Solo Sikoa there, which Paul Heyman called him a problem solver. So that's good that he's got Solo there. He said your Tribal Chief will take care of all business items. One of them is a preview, points to the new World Heavyweight title. Obviously, I've seen online quite a lot of chatter. What if Roman wins it? What if Roman wins it? I don't think Roman's going to win the new title, but anyway, they obviously referenced that. And he said, wouldn't that title look relevant around the waist of your Tribal Chief Roman Reigns? Which, no, because that's the reason we've got a title, is because Roman Reigns has both of them. And he says Roman Reigns can't compete, obviously because he's not here on Monday Night Raw. And then Paul Heyman proceeds to go ahead and say that the children in the locker room who are acting like men, they should know better. And then as this promo was happening, I kind of had a feeling about what was happening. I was picking up on some of the wordplay here. So he said men who are freaking jokers, which obviously is a reference to Seth Rollins, men who are freaking jokes as well. So obviously Seth Rollins, I kind of had a feeling he was going to come out very soon. And then he proceeded to say men who are clowns, and then obviously Seth Rollins comes out. So then Seth Rollins came out, had his wee little dancey dance going on, people were singing his song. He goes ahead and he laughs in Paul Heyman's face and he says, Paulie, it's good to see you. Why the long face? You should be acting like it's Christmas because Roman Reigns is on SmackDown. I'm still on Monday Night Raw, which is my show. And he proceeds to say that Roman doesn't have to run from me anymore. And he said that Roman can stop pulling strings backstage so that I never get my title rematch again. He said, use that energy to make sure the bloodline doesn't blow up in your face. which I think was quite a good thing to say. I mean, it's quite obvious that the bloodline is quite literally imploding as we speak, and obviously for Seth Rollins to shed some light onto that is it's like a little sprinkle of the truth. And then Seth Rollins goes ahead and he says here's a spoiler, at the Night of Champions, that he'll win the World Heavyweight Championship, and the world will see what a real champion looks like, which, I mean, if you crown Seth Rollins, he quite literally will be one of the best champions they've ever had, but that's just my opinion. Paul Heyman then tries to give Roman Reigns a phone call in the corner of the ring whilst he's having this promo with Seth Rollins, and then Seth Rollins goes ahead and says, oh, well, Paul, it's going to be really hard for you to have a conversation to Roman Reigns on the phone in the full arena that we are, with people singing my song. So obviously everyone starts singing Seth Rollins' theme song, and then Paul Heyman comes out with this great one-liner where he goes ahead and he says that he can't hear his tribal chief. So if someone wants to clip that and put it on TikTok and get viral off of it, great idea. Paul Heyman goes ahead and he says, like, Seth, you're pissing off my tribal chief. And Seth Rollins says, well, if he's upset now, he's not going to like this one. How long do you think it'll take for me to flatten you out on the mat and hit you with a stomp? And then proceeds to count like 5, 4, 3, 2 seconds kind of thing. Solo Sikoa comes out. Obviously, it's back up for... And then Paul Heyman proceeds to go ahead and say that the tribal chief is still pulling all the strings behind the scenes and has pulled the match of Seth Rollins and Solo Sikoa into fruition. So obviously that happens at the end of the night. So that's the main event of Raw for this evening. Then backstage we see Cody Rhodes arriving to Monday Night Raw. He ends up bumping into Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce goes ahead and says, like, Cody, it's a huge night. Please make sure that this doesn't spiral out of control. Don't want any chaos. And then Cody just kind of walks off. Then we end up having a match between Damage Control and Liv Morgan versus Raquel Rodriguez. Now, originally when I saw this match, I initially thought it was for the titles, but apparently it's not. So it was just a tag team match with Damage Control and Liv and Raquel. Anyway, it was a pretty standard Liv and Raquel match. As tag team, I think they're good, but I'm kind of just not really like invested in them as a tag team. I quite like Raquel Rodriguez. I kind of want her to go back to that kind of style gimmick she had back in NXT. I feel kind of like indifferent about Liv Morgan. I'm not like her biggest fan, but I also like don't hate her, so I'm kind of, I don't know, like she's there. So Damage Control pretty much won this match. So they ended up, I wrote down the notes of pretty much the finish of the match. So Raquel and Bayley basically go outside of the ring, and then Bayley holds down Raquel so that Dakota can hit her with one of her kicks. Liv Morgan tries to hit Dakota Kai with an Oblivion, but she doesn't realize that Dakota Kai is not legal, so she hits her with the and then Bayley makes a tag on Dakota, and then Liv hits her with an Oblivion, and then Bayley ends up rolling her up 1, 2, 3. So initially when I had seen that Damage Control had won this match, I thought it was for the titles, but obviously that's on me for not knowing that it wasn't for the titles. But yeah, because I wrote my notes. New tag champs, but clearly not. So then we end up seeing backstage that Booker T and Sharmell will be announcing the picks for Monday Night Raw and Friday Night Smackdown. Then before this happens, we end up seeing Brock Lesnar arriving to Monday Night Raw backstage, and Adam Pearce runs into him and basically is just like, can you please just keep the peace tonight? Like, we don't need any chaos. It's a big night. And Brock Lesnar's like, good luck with that. Then we end up getting some more draft picks. So Monday Night Raw has picked the tag team of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Obviously not differentiating if it's for the Raw or the Smackdown titles, but I mean, they've been drafted to Raw nonetheless. And Smackdown has selected the Usos, which is good because now the bloodline's being kept together after all of that anxiety towards the entire draft situation. Raw selected Judgment Day, which, as I said at the beginning of the video, I don't understand why they tried to put Rhea on SmackDown and then made it look like that Judgment Day was joining Rhea on SmackDown to then draft them all back to Raw. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. And then SmackDown selected LWO, which is obviously Legado del Fantasma and Zelina Vega as well as Rey Mysterio. Then we ended up having a tag team match between Braun and Ricochet versus Alpha Academy, which obviously they had Maxine Dupree as well too, accompanying Otis. I didn't really write much about this match because we've kind of seen a lot of the same matches from them before. But Braun and Ricochet picked up the win, which was pretty good. Then we end up having a quick backstage segment showing Shawn Michaels backstage coming out to make the draft picks. And we have a quick video package of Damian Priest and Dominic Mysterio hyping up the match at Backlash this weekend. Then the third round of the draft picks, so you have Shawn Michaels coming out and then Adam Pearce comes out, which I was just so annoyed because at this point the episode's kind of been going on, Monday Night Raw's been going on for about an hour now, and then Brock Lesnar goes ahead and interrupts the round 3 of the drafts, comes out to the ring, quickly makes a promo basically being like, Texas, how does it feel to be looking at the only real cowboy in the state? Adam Pearce is like, we're not doing this now. The draft business trumps everything. We're not doing this. Whole bunch of security comes out to try and deter Brock from doing anything. But then Cody Rhodes' music hits. And obviously Cody Rhodes doesn't come out from the entrance ramp. He ends up hitting Brock Lesnar from behind. Pretty much is just another security brawl. A whole bunch of people just came in and just tried to separate the two. Then after all those shenanigans, we finally had round 3 of the WWE draft. So being moved over to Raw is the tag team of Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. I mean, it kind of is what it is. I feel very indifferent about the team, so it doesn't really matter too much to me personally where they go. Smackdown has selected Asuka. Now I'm really excited for Asuka to move over to Smackdown. She's been on Raw for quite some time, so I'm really excited to see her move over to Smackdown. The New Day also has been transferred over to Raw, as well as the Brawling Brutes staying on SmackDown. So yeah, kind of felt like a lot of these draft picks were very if that makes sense. I don't want to sound mean, but they were very Then we ended up having a quick backstage segment between Riddle, Sami, Zayn and Kevin Owens, quickly just talking about their match that Riddle was about to have with Jimmy Uso, and obviously talking about Backlash. And then obviously it was Riddle versus Jimmy Uso. There's a real cool spot where Kevin Owens tried to pretend that Jay hit him to get Jay extracted from ringside, which obviously fooled the referee. So Jay Uso was now taken out of ringside, couldn't help Jimmy. And then Riddle ended up picking up the win on that match there. Then we get another backstage segment quickly showing RVD and Eric Bischoff, which I was like, what the heck. Kind of makes sense for Eric Bischoff to be there, but yeah, so they're obviously going to be announcing the next round of the draft picks. Then we quickly get a backstage segment between Paul Heyman and Solo Sikoa, and then obviously Paul Heyman's trying to hype up Solo Sikoa, basically being your tribal chief has faith in you to take out this clown, this bozo, this rubber nose and big feet man, obviously referring to Seth Rollins as a clown and a joker. He's basically saying that he wants the tribal chief to take him out, and then Paul Heyman just starts randomly spitting some Samoan, which I was like, okay, pop off queen, that's cool. Jey Uso comes into the frame and basically is just asking why Solo wasn't at ringside to help out. And then Paul Heyman goes ahead and he says that, he's pent up and the tribal chief wants him to exterminate Seth Rollins, so that's obviously why he wasn't at ringside. Then we get the next round of the WWE draft picks. Now, I'm kind of someone who, if they're going to do the WWE draft, I kind of want them just to spend, to dedicate an episode of Monday Night Raw or Friday Night Smackdown solely to doing draft picks. As someone who was sitting kind of reviewing the episode, while I appreciate the wrestling in it, I found it very hard to, actually stay motivated towards the episode, because I kind of was hoping that, we'd get some more draft picks, or we wouldn't flip-flop between the two, but that's okay, nonetheless. So in the next round of draft picks, Raw selected Trish Stratus as well as Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, and SmackDown selected Karrion Kross and Scarlett, and mine, LA Knight, baby. So LA Knight staying on SmackDown as well as Karrion Kross. One thing I did note when I was watching SmackDown is I don't understand why they started some form of storyline between Shinsuke Nakamura and Karrion Kross, but now they're going to be on separate brands. So I don't know, there's a lot of storyline inconsistencies with this draft I've kind of noticed. And a lot of the times WWE treats their fans like we're stupid, but I mean, if I'm picking up on these, storylines that you've started and then you have the people change brand, it kind of is not really helpful towards getting momentum behind these specific stars. Then there's a quick Miz TV segment between The Miz and Shinsuke. I kind of didn't really take much notice of it because, like I said, I kind of was just let's just let's get the draft done with, because I kind of had felt that a lot of the picks were very like, eh. But yeah, pretty much the Miz was just talking about how like he's welcoming Shinsuke Nakamura to Monday Night Raw, going through Shinsuke's accolades, and basically it's just like, do you actually have a chance to win the new World Heavyweight title? And then Miz is saying, well, it's supposed to be a title for like workhorses, so I think that should be me. They really made Shinsuke Nakamura tell the Miz that apparently he's a guy with tiny balls. So it's the one thing that really stuck with me during this episode. And then Shinsuke Nakamura goes ahead and kicks the Miz. So I was kind of like, this didn't really need to happen, but that's okay. As well as the next segment, which we see Omos and MVP walking backstage. And then Omos has a quick match with a guy called Anthony Allen. I can't say his last name. But anyway, it's just like a local talent that they pretty much brought in for Omos to like obliterate. I understand trying to make him look like a threat before versing Seth Rollins, but also in my mind we don't need the match between Seth and Omos, because Omos is not on Seth's level, especially if you're trying to prop Seth up as the new World Heavyweight Champion. Like, I don't know what's going on. And then we get the next round of the draft picks. So before that, we have a video package of Triple H pretty much just announcing the World Heavyweight title and just like a video recap of that. Then we see backstage Molly Holly and Road Dogg, so they're obviously going to be announcing the next lot of the draft picks. And then they go ahead and they announce that Monday Night Raw has now picked up Braun Strowman and Ricochet, as well as Bronson Reed. And SmackDown has retained Shotzi, so she's already on SmackDown, so she's going to stay on SmackDown, as well as the NXT call-up of Pretty Deadly, which I was very excited when I saw that. I'd seen a lot of news about Pretty Deadly coming up to the main roster. I think they've been main roster ready for quite a while now. I really enjoy their work, as well as like their gimmick and like their promo ability, so I'm really excited for them to come up to the main roster, especially SmackDown. I think they'll have a lot of fun. Then we had a quick Judgment Day promo of pretty much everyone in the Judgment Day having a turn to speak. Damian Priest addressed Bad Bunny, was talking in Spanish, and was pretty much just like talking about how he's going to beat him in Puerto Rico or whatever. So you can kind of tell at this point of the episode, I was kind of just like, okay, like, let's just, come on, speed it up a little bit. Kind of like really dragged in the middle of the episode. And then obviously Finn's talking about Rhea Ripley towards Zelina Vega's match, like the match they're having in Puerto Rico. And then the LWO came out, and Rey Mysterio pretty much just said like, Dom, like, is like no one's hiding anywhere. I'm glad we're not on the same brand, and I'm glad that I whipped you the way that I did at WrestleMania. If you be careful, like, I won't have to bring out the chakras, which like that's pretty scary. But and he pretty much just said that like he can't wait for Zelina Vega to beat Rhea Ripley. Which, I mean, I don't think that's going to happen, but that's okay. And then we end up having a 6-man tag match with Zelina Vega, Santos Escobar, and Rey Mysterio going up against Rhea Ripley, Dominic Mysterio, and Damian Priest. It was a good match. As I said, kind of drifting in and out at this point, but no, it was a good match. Plenty of good spots as well too. A lot of good showing of Zelina Vega being able to reverse out of Rhea Ripley's power moves as well too, which will make it look really good for Backlash as well too. So Judgment Day ended up winning the match, which was pretty cool, but yeah. And then Cody Rhodes backstage was talking to Kathy Kelly and basically was just like, well, Brock Lesnar is in my head. He's been in my head since the Raw after WrestleMania. The fact that Brock's like negotiated a free agent status and he gets to come and go as he wants and he gets what he wants. And he goes, but not on Saturday. Brock Lesnar is human. And he said he has to win. If he doesn't win, the whole idea of him finishing the story ceases to exist. So he's basically just reminding people like, hey, I still want to win a title. I have to finish the story because Brock Lesnar's come in. It's kind of ruined the story. So I need to win. Then we end up getting a quick backstage segment where Byron Saxton is talking to Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair is talking about the fact she's been drafted to SmackDown. She goes, doesn't matter what brand I'm on, I now rep blue. And she's going to send Io Sky to SmackDown empty-handed. Bayley comes in and says that, you know, Io will give you a reason to be blue. Pretty much just talking about how Io Sky is going to beat Bianca at Backlash. But Bianca doesn't even have the Smackdown Women's title yet, so it's kind of, I don't know, just massive storyline inconsistencies, but hey, I'm maybe reading into it too much. And then Bianca goes ahead and she says that she's been impressed with Io, and then asks like what she'd done since she came back at like SummerSlam. She says she's been influenced by two females who do nothing, and then like Io Sky starts talking in Japanese, and obviously Dakota's about to translate for Io, but then Bianca's like, I don't need her to translate for me, like me and Io understand each other. So obviously adding some extra oomph into their match this weekend. Then we get the final draft pool that's actually shown on TV. Later on I'll talk about some extra draft picks that were made on Raw Talk, but this is the last ones that were shown on TV. So Raw picked up Alpha Academy as well as Kaden Carter and Katana Chance from NXT. I'm happy for them, don't get me wrong, but I'm kind of just like, what was the point of like even showing that they're going to have a match on NXT for the titles if both teams are being called up to the main roster? I don't know. And then SmackDown selects Rick Bergs as well as Cameron Grimes, which I'm super excited about. Cameron Grimes has been off NXT for quite some time, just being ready to be called up to the main roster or given a storyline for the main roster. So it's super exciting that he's finally going to be put on the main roster, so it'll be really cool to see what he does. Then we have the main event, which is Solo Sikoa and Seth Rollins. It was a really good match. They work really well together in the ring. The end of the match, the Usos try to interfere with Seth Rollins. They try to like make Solo win kind of thing. And then obviously the match ends in disqualification with Seth Rollins taking the win. And then Riddle, KO and Sami Zayn come out and start brawling, which obviously is showcasing their match for this weekend. Now, as I said, it was a good episode of Raw, don't get me wrong, but I think just kind of having that roller coaster of, alright, it's wrestling, their backstage segment, then like the draft picks, it kind of just felt a little bit all over the place. And I think, especially because it was a 3-hour show as well too, it kind of just, for me personally, like it felt like a bit of a drag to get through. A lot of predictable moments, especially Brock Lesnar coming out during the actual draft picks. Like, we get it, you're Brock Lesnar, but like, let's just get on with it. So then after that, I subjected myself to watching Raw Talk as well, because obviously on the Smackdown Lowdown last week, they announced more draft picks, which they didn't put on TV. So I'll quickly just go through some extra draft picks. So we'll start with free agents. So obviously Brock Lesnar's negotiated to be a free agent. So these others are also on the free agent list. You have Elias, Shelton Benjamin, Cedric Alexander, Baron Corbin, and Zion Quip. I'm pretty sure I'm saying his name wrong. He's from NXT. So, and then also Raw took up quite a lot of the like draft picks on this list, but also in general. I get that Raw's a 3-hour show, but I feel like after this entire draft, if you compare the list of people that are on Raw and SmackDown still feels quite bare to me. I don't know. But Raw picked up Sanga, Veer, and Jinder, obviously all from NXT. Emma, Tegan Knox, Xia Li, Riddick Moss, previously known as Madcap Moss, Dana Brooke, Johnny Gargano, Nikki Cross, Angel Garza, Humberto Carrillo, Akira Tozawa, Piper Niven, and Odyssey Jones. And SmackDown got 2. So SmackDown got Tamina and NXT superstar Grayson Waller. So I'm excited that Grayson Waller's moving up to the main roster. He's going to be a really big asset on SmackDown, and I honestly think chucking him in a feud with Austin Theory for the United States title or putting him in with LA Knight would do him wonders. But yeah, so that is my recap of what happened on Raw and Raw Talk from today. If you guys like these videos and you like these recaps, please let us know, because we put a lot of effort into these videos that we do. Also, make sure that you watch the podcast on Thursday this week, which will be Friday for me. So we're going to be going over our Backlash predictions. If you want to follow any of us, make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel, like, follow, and share, as well as following our TikTok accounts and our personal social medias as well too, so our Instagrams as well as our TikToks. That's how you can stay up to date with what we're doing, and also when we're going to be doing like Outcasted podcasts and stuff. And we're also posting more Outcasted reels as well too on the Instagram, so make sure that if you want to catch up with those kind of things, if you've missed some clips from the podcast, just make sure you watch those. So yeah, I'm gonna go and relax now after spending 4 hours watching Monday Night Raw and obviously catching up with wrestling. But yeah, so that is my recap. I hope you guys enjoyed, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.